Hey there, greetings everybody, and welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So, we are here with our show for Monday night. Our Monday night look back at a classic rock album. This Monday we're going to be doing this album, ACDC's Powerage. So this is a relatively new album for me. Not that it's a new album, it was released in 1978. April the 28th, 1978 in the UK, and May the 25th, 1978 in the United States of America. That's when it was released. Also, this was done at the Albert Studio in Sydney, Australia. I think it's about 40, almost 40 minutes long. Pretty close to it. It's on the Albert and the Atlantic labels and was produced by Harry Vonda and George Young. So, of course, this is the classic lineup. This is the first album with the classic lineup of AC/DC on it, featuring Phil Rudd on the drums, Cliff Williams taking over on bass, Angus and Malcolm Young on guitars, with Angus doing the lead parts, and, of course, Bon Scott on lead vocals. So this was the first album that classic lineup took place. He only actually did two with this group together. Both were good. This one, I think, is a little bit underrated, though. It didn't do as well as it should have. I'm not really sure why. Could be that they were supposed to tour with Black Sabbath. That ended up in a Malaysia, as we all know about that story, but we're not going to get into it. And so they were off that tour, and I think there was a problem also between Angus Young and Mark Evans, who was the bass player, and they kicked him out of the band and replaced him with Cliff Williams, who, fit in very well. I mean, they said they replaced him because they wanted somebody who could sing, and Cliff Williams could sing, so he was in there. So Mark Evans says, no, there was another problem between them, and he doesn't really know what it is. But at any rate, this album is the result of that new lineup. It's a really solid album. I really like it. It's growing on me too, because for me, most of this is new. I haven't heard most of it before. I bought this album maybe a few months ago, and I put it immediately in my backup collection there to get into my playlist. And it's been in the playlist now for coming up to about 6 months now, and it's only now really starting to pick up speed, which is really kind of unusual for me with AC/DC. Usually AC/DC takes off immediately, and then I listen to them for a long time, and then they kind of get burned out, and then I don't listen to them for a while. But this album has been different than the others. It took a while for me to start to like it, but it's now growing on me enough so that I could do this episode with confidence that this is a great album. And I think this is also the only one of the original albums that had the same cover both here and in Australia. That's what I read anyways. I don't know if there's any truth to that or not. Anyways, there's about 4 tracks on here that I'm really into now. Most of them are similar in style. They have that great riff that, Malcolm Young is probably my favorite. I don't know if he's my favorite member of the band. Probably Bon Scott is my favorite, but he's very close if he isn't, because he's such a riff master. He just knows how to make those riffs that just get you bopping, Some really great stuff. So Rock and Roll Damnation is the first track on this album. By the way, Mark Evans apparently did play on this album once. He played bass on one track called Cold Hearted Man, which is ironic because that's the only track that is not on this particular rendition of the album, which is kind of funny. I found that kind of funny. Anyways, it's just a quirky thing. The next song I really like on this is Sin City. It's probably my favorite track on the album. I just think that the vocals that Bon Scott does on here are just so catchy, so making you want to sing, and then the riff is so catchy as well. So you got a combination of both of them. That to me is AC/DC at its best is when the riff gets you going and then you want to sing along with Bon Scott. That's what really makes AC/DC for me. Up to My Neck in You, more super catchy riffing. The guy was absolutely a master at that. The last track on this album is another one I really quite like. It kind of starts out with a kind of Bon reciting something in a kind of antagonistic way, I guess it is. And then it jumps into this real kick-ass kind of vocals. I think it's probably his best vocals on this album. It's a great album. Like I said, it took me a fair bit of time. There's a nice shot of them too, and there's one on the back as well. All of them, all the classic members of the band. Anyways, it took, like I said, it took me some time to get into the album, and now it's like really kicking ass on my playlist. It's probably, I don't know if it's my favorite album on the playlist. Maybe it's between this and the Marillion album that's on there as well. Jailbreak 2 is also on that list right now, but this album is so kick-ass, man. And you know that the great thing about AC/DC, the thing that I like the best, is that the louder you crank it, the better it sounds. Like, there's no volume too high for this album. That's the best thing about AC/DC. Trying to play AC/DC at a nice quiet setting is just a waste of time, in my opinion. I hear them, I gotta crank them, I gotta stop what I'm doing, I gotta jump around, I gotta like do the air guitar thing, I gotta do the vocal thing. That's what makes them one of my favorite bands for that. They're the only band that get me like that too. Other bands, I enjoy their music, some aspects of their music I like to do the air thing or the drumming thing or whatever, or I like to sing their stuff. Styx is a big band for me, singing their stuff, but nobody gets me wanting to jump around like a retard more than this album, more than this band. And so I wasn't sure what was going to happen, because when I first started playing this album, I said, I don't know about this, you know, which is very unusual for AC/DC for me. So once I got into it, though, I'm quite happy now that the only album by them I don't have from their original albums is Let There Be Rock, which was the actual first album I ever owned by them after Back in Black. I went back, and that was the first one I bought. And it's been my favorite of the original albums for a long time. But I don't have it because I gave all my vinyl away. But I was happy that this one eventually came around, because it's you know, when you've listened to, you know, and I've had people tell me this, they've listened to this band for so long. It's not that they don't like them; they're a great band, but you just get kind of tired after a while. You want something new, and you're not going to get any new because Bon Scott's gone. So, anyways, this is a fantastic album. I highly recommend, if you haven't listened to this before, get it out and listen to it, or go out and get it and listen to it. Whatever you want to do. It'll have you wanting to jump around. Absolutely. So that's my classic rock album for tonight. AC/DC's Powerage from 1978. Great album. If you like this album, please like, subscribe, make your comments down below. Hit that warning bell so you get notices for the shows when they're coming up. And we will be back next week with another classic rock album look back. So take care and have yourself a good night.